Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Thanks for stopping by the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Today I want to share with you a story I shared recently in San Diego with the U.S. Navy. I talk about this story when it fits, when I get the opportunity. So the week of August the 20th, Rhea and I were with the Navy. If you've been following along on the podcast recently, you heard me talking about that. So we were out supporting the U.S. Navy and the civilian contractors who support them with basically 10 half-day workshops. So we did 2 workshops each day on one of my books. So I had lots of time to talk and add lots of stories. So I was able to add this story, and it brought it to the top of my mind. And I thought, I need to share this with my podcast listeners. And I've got tons of stories I'll be sharing with you as the weeks and months pass by. But I want to go ahead and tell you about this one. This is one time before I had ever read any leadership books. And it's about a time that I let my team down as a leader. So at the time, I was the lean manager. I was reporting to a plant manager over a large manufacturing facility. And I was leading process improvement teams through all types of events called kaizen events, if you're familiar with lean manufacturing. So we had a 5S kaizen event set up for 1 week. We had probably about 12 people on the team, and the mission was to basically clean and organize our paint booth area. We had a liquid paint booth, had a big chain going through the paint booth and through a big oven, and the area was really dirty and hadn't been kept up, and we had started our lean initiative. So the goal was for all of us to, and I was leading the team as the lean manager, but our goal was to basically take that place and make it look like brand new, with new paint on the wall, new paint on the paint booth, on everything, every single thing cleaned and painted. So typically what we'd do, that the team would prep up, and then on Thursday we would actually paint. The team would paint. So it was one of my responsibilities was to always have the paint. I don't remember how many, but we would have a large number of 5-gallon paint buckets. High gloss white is what we were painting the walls with, and pretty much everything in the plant was high gloss white. Some people say, why didn't you paint it white? It'll show dirt. Well, the goal was to keep the dirt off of it. So if you paint it white, you can see the dirt. And that's the whole point of the thing, is to keep it clean. So make it bright white, brighten up the area, and make it easy to see dirt and things like that. So that morning on Thursday, the team was ready to paint. They'd worked hard Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I had called before to make sure the paint was there from our supplier. I would typically just drive over. It wasn't too far away. Drive over and pick up the paint on the day of the event, and we'd make it happen. So we didn't have a lot of inventory to keep up with and move around, that sort of thing. So when I go to get the paint that day, I show up and it was all sold. And the guy I had talked to didn't sell it. Someone else there sold it. And they knew we bought a lot of paint and used a lot of paint. So typically there was a lot of paint there, but another large company in town started using the same thing. And so they sold it the day before. So now the team, this 12-person team, was waiting on me to bring the paint back. But all I brought back was word that we didn't have any paint. So now I had let the team down. So I told them I was going to find some paint. This was Thursday. They had planned to paint Thursday and then have a final presentation on their accomplishments on Friday, presented to the leadership in the plant. But we were still going to do that, but didn't look like we were going to have the area painted as we had expected. And the team would have made it happen if I would have did my part. It would have been real easy to blame the people for not having the paint or selling the paint after I called them. That's what a low impact leader does. They find somebody to blame, but it was my fault because I didn't plan ahead. That's the way what I was doing is I was looking in the mirror saying, this is my fault. So I told him, I said, I'm going to find some paint. And ended up, I had to drive about a 3-hour round trip to get some paint. By the time I found the paint, made the trip, it was basically about the end of the day after I had already also been to the other store that didn't have the paint that morning. So running around all day, wasted my time, and I got the paint, wasted the team's time. They were able to do some other stuff, but it wasn't what they wanted to do and what we had planned to do. So the leader was screwing up everything. So when I got back, it was about 3:30 or so, and about 4 o'clock, the team would be leaving for the day. So they left at 4. I went and found the Tyvek suit. I got the paint sprayer. I got the mask. I got the ladder. And I painted from 4 p.m. until 7 a.m. the next day. I didn't stop for breaks. I didn't stop for snacks. I didn't go to the restroom. I painted from 4 p.m. in the afternoon until 7 a.m. the next day. I was making up for my mistake. And I was on salary, so I didn't get paid any extra. My boss didn't tell me to do that. As a matter of fact, he didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't ask his permission or tell him I was going to do it because he didn't tell me what to do and I didn't ask what to do. He gave me a mission and I did my best to accomplish the mission. And that's what I was doing that day. I wasn't going to let the team down, number one. And then also I wasn't going to let him down, number two. So the team come in the next day at 7 o'clock. I was still painting. I was basically done, though, so I was finished. They didn't have anything else left to do. They basically thought Santa Claus had came. And this was probably in 2006 or 7. And again, I didn't start reading leadership books until 2008, but I got it right sometimes. So that day, I actually got it right. So I stayed another hour or two, got things wrapped up, told the team I was going to go home, take a nap for about an hour or two, and then I'd be back and they could be prepared and be ready to do a final presentation. They had to wrap everything up and get everything back in place and squared away. And then we were able to have the team's final presentation like we had planned on Monday. So I did my part. They did their part. I came back and it was a great event. But what was cool was everybody in that plant learned what I did. And I didn't do it so everybody would talk about what I did. I done it because I let my team down. But my behavior caused me to build a lot of trust with a lot of people because everybody knew what I did. They also knew that I was a manager. I didn't have to do that. I didn't get paid for it. And again, I worked basically 26 hours straight to make up for my lack of planning. So I tell that story because that's high impact leadership trait. And what I'm saying there is it's not to toot my own horn. It's to say as leaders, we should take responsibility. The team's exactly where we led them. If we're leading at a high level, we need to look in the mirror and say it's our fault. Figure out how to make things happen. Too many leaders are just directing, telling people what to do, making excuses, blaming, that sort of stuff. That ain't high impact leadership. That ain't what we talk about here on the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. So hope you enjoyed that little story and maybe you can reflect next time you get an opportunity. Again, leadership's influence. It's not about title, position, authority, rank. Obviously, if you're a formal authority leader, you need to be leading at a high level if you want to build trust and earn the respect of your team. But it doesn't matter, again, if you're just a team member and no one reports to you, you can still lead by taking responsibility. When things go wrong, you look in the mirror and say, how is this my fault? What should I have done differently? What could I have done differently? What do I need to do to make it right? You do enough of that stuff, you're either going to be given a leadership position or asked to fill one if you don't have one, or you're going to be promoted if you do have one. You do it enough, you're going to get recognized for it. So I hope you enjoyed the story. talk to you guys next time. Have a great day.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.